Hello and welcome. This Zhongli guide is gonna be the shortest I can make it while giving you all the directions necessary to build and play him. A super flexible unit that can fit almost any team and has the strongest shield in the game. He can be played in multiple ways, but most people are gonna look into a shield bot build or a burst build with a strong shield. Some players might also want to try him as an on-field damage dealer or a geo-construct build, but these are very off meta and probably need their own video. Everyone knows about his talents by now, but let's do a quick recap. Elemental skill can be held for a shield with an universal 20% elemental and physical shred, plus a pillar, or tapped for just a pillar. The pillar will resonate with itself and other geo-construct for some small AoE damage. The burst is a big AoE that petrifies enemies, basically stunning them, and has a low energy cost for a decent high multiplier. Ascension 1 makes his shield stronger each time it's attacked, up to 25% shield strength. Ascension 4 gives all of his kit, which aside from the shield scales normally from attack, and extra scaling from the HP. The core of Zhongli gameplay will be just a strong burst coupled with a very strong shield. The shield actually has a 150 resistance to every element and physical, which basically makes it the best shield we have in the game, especially for having no condition to it aside from using your skill. So for talent priority, it's really simple. If you're going for a shield bot build, you don't cast your burst at all, so just the skill will be fine. For a burst support build, then you would need both the burst and the skill. Artifact sets is where it's very interesting for Zhongli. Tenacity is considered his best in slot, and it's so great, but it has a condition, which is your pillar not being destroyed and actually hitting the enemies. And let me tell you, this kind of geo-construct suck against particular enemies, to the point that its downtime is to be expected. Other set can be used in these cases. Noblesse can have 100% uptime and buff his own burst. Deepwood does not have to be carried by a danger unit necessarily, but doesn't rely too much on your pillar hitting, because your burst plus shield cast can be enough for a full uptime. Petra is a very archaic option that requires Zhongli to pick up the crystallized shield and can only buff one element, but when it works, it's a great damage boost. Even Instructor can be used, as Crystallize can proc it and give your entire party 120 elemental mastery. It's super underused set that's probably the best option for a Hyperbloom team, as they're actually often played with him. It needs you to be on field to activate it, and it will decrease the amount of HP you can get for his shield. If you don't want to force a set, you can use 2-piece options or sets that increase the damage of your burst. Even Emblem, in theory, could work, but will not provide a big buff to your team. As far as stats goes, full HP main stat in a shield bot builds, as the shield scales of HP. Burst builds will want either attack or HP sense, Geo Goblet and Crit Circlets. Hybrid builds are totally fine, but your burst will suffer from them. And by the way, between attack and HP sense, do note that attack actually gives you more damage, but often not enough to justify not having a single main stat of HP for the shield. Overall, I would go for HP on the sense, but you can go attack if you want to just have a big nuke. For weapons, instead of talking about every single weapon, I just made a sheet where I calculated this damage on different weapons and on two different sense, attack sense and HP sense. If you're going for a shield bot build, however, these weapons do not matter too much and you should be looking into, well, mainly two different things. A Favonius weapon to generate energy for the rest of your team, and an HP weapon to increase your shield HP even more. Black Tassel will offer you the most HP in the game as a polearm. The new craftable and Homa are more suited for burst support / hyper builds, but they do give you extra HP. Regarding Zhongli teams, this section is super easy. You just don't want to use Zhongli in a Fritz team, as first of all it doesn't suit very well in there, and also his geo damage could ruin your Fritz uptime. And also, if you have a very fragile elemental reaction team like a Hu Tao vaping on top of a Yelan, you don't want to add a Crystallize that could deplete the Hydro Aura and ruin Hu Tao's vapes. But aside from those two, to be honest, he's really good in almost every team, especially if you got a fragile carry that needs protection. A Wanderer user, a Ganyu Meld, a Yoimiya that doesn't want her N5 to be interrupted, Zhongli is perfect. Be mindful that you want Zhongli in a team that needs a shield and doesn't mind his supportive abilities. He can be paired with another Geo like Yunjin or Albedo if present to activate the Geo Resonance, that actually benefits them and partially the entire team. As far as Constellations go, I am not a huge fan of Constellations in general, and especially on Zhongli, I feel like they're very underwhelming and not necessary, which probably is actually a good thing. C1 makes you able to summon a second pillar, which means you can increase the chances of hitting Tenacity, of proccing energy particles. And for example, you can press it to start your rotation and then go to another character. And before your main DPS, hold a shield and have both pillars up without wasting too much time. But to be honest, this comfort is not worth a 5-star copy. C2 completely cuts out your holding skill if you intend to burst. Now each burst will give you the shield and you're able to just randomly tap your skill for a pillar and up to 2 pillar at this point. Still not a great constellation, but a small quality of life, I'd say. C3 is pillar damage, kinda yikes. C4 makes your burst hit a larger AoE and petrify for 2 seconds, again not worth it. C5 is burst damage, which is basically his only damage constellation, to be honest, and C6 makes him a pseudo healer, which in my opinion is, again, totally unnecessary. Overall, Zhongli Constellations are for people that really wanna give him everything and like him that much, but from a meta standpoint, and in my opinion, they're really just bad and should be avoided. So, is Zhongli someone that is worth pulling? Zhongli's main feature is a shield that brings an enormous comfort to your team, however, he's not a must-have. The more expert players and veterans have the option to not care so much about staying alive, but just go on more offensive strategies. Zhongli still helps in that department with his universal rest shred, but the rest of his kit, especially his burst in very optimized team, is not always able to keep up, and that's why everyone calls it a DPS loss. It's not always a DPS loss, but if you're really pushing how much a team can do, his bursts will barely be able to keep up. Overall, in my opinion, Zhongli is worth pulling, but its value depends on you. For any extra detail you wanna know, I have a full advanced guide that you can check out in the description or in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.